Alright, we'll go live a little early. It's still about 3 minutes early from where I was going to be. Hello and welcome to another episode of Stallman's Forge. Well, here we are. It's been a while. My back is feeling great. Chiropractic has done well. To a certain someone out there, you know who you are, we work fairly close together. How's it doing, Mr. Arthur? But other than that, blades are starting to warm up pretty nicely. I'm going to have to probably open up the second one again to get a real fire going in there to heat everything up again. We'll see how it does. Have to increase the fire just a hair. We have about like a good 6 inches of gouting flame. We got 3 we're working on today. Hear it whistling, so just let that do its thing. We refilled the tank, so it's all good. Hello, Quinn. I got 3 knives in here that I'm going to work on. Just, keep it going. Keep the fire nice and hot. See how well these do. They're all something I needed to work on. There's like several projects that we got going on in the shop that I still need to finish. I'm just not happy with where I got them, so I've been really kind of drag-assing on it. But yeah, go ahead and do my early bit. Go ahead and feel free to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Like I said, we got 3 knives, so we'll probably run a little late today. Probably. Depends on how I'm feeling. But yeah, it's good to be back in the shop on camera. I kind of miss showing everybody. We got some classes that we've been doing. And hopefully we'll be able to record some of them so you guys can enjoy that. Hold on, I'm moving my mic. I feel like my beard's going to be in the way if I don't move it a little bit. So hopefully everything sounds good. But yeah. We'll get right on into it. People will come and go. I mean, it's all good. That tip's still pretty dark. Does need some nudging in another way. Just gonna leave it in the fire for a second. Get my hammer prepped. It's been a hot minute. Been busy teaching people how to do this. So I got a couple knives here that will be worked on a little bit. Trying to get them more and more ready for the quench and heat treatments, as well as the grind and polish towards the end of it. I like how some of them are turning out, and when I clean them up really nice, they're gonna probably turn out pretty okay. So this one will have to do some tang work to thin out a bit more. So we're just gonna flip it around. I think they'll turn out pretty okay. I just gotta get my ass in gear and start finishing some of these out. I got one that's ready for bitter cleanup. It was my trial run to do a little bit of grind work. More observant viewer might notice that I was holding that sax earlier. It's turning out okay. It needs a bit more love. Yeah, these are definitely been sitting under my cooling rack for a bit longer than I want. But such is life, you know. And here's the 2020 knife we were working on during New Year's. It's slowly coming together. I mean, it's Still don't know where it's going to go. Hey, Eddie. What did I do with that brush? Oh, yes. But yeah, those just coming in, like I said. I've been teaching some classes in my off time while I can. Two thick knives are only going to be the ones I can fit in here. Alright, so bring this back out, hit it with the brush. So the idea is try to get some more of these prepared. Right in the eye. Scale's no joke, so you really want to get as much off of it as you can. Damn, that hurt. Oh well. This is why you want to wear Eye Pro. I have some floating around here somewhere that I'll probably throw on. I typically don't like wearing it because it gets in the way of my vision. Unlike, you know, just getting hit in the eye with some scale. Nothing like some hot scale hitting you in the eye. But yeah. Safety first in the shop, as much as I tend to not. But hopefully everybody can hear me well. Everything's going good. It's been a while since I worked on any of this. Like I said, I'm just going to try to knock out some more projects as best we can, get them more ready. Some of them are not quite there yet. Some of them need more minor corrections. Some of them are pretty damn close to being ready. Some of them are not. Like I said, for most part, a lot of it we can take out in the grind, which is more than fine. I was going to work about 2 or 3 pieces in there, but we'll do as we can. I usually do take the hot metal to the eye. Happy birthday, Eddie, again. Some exciting-ish news. We just put in for a raffle to win some new tools with the Artists Blacksmiths Association of North America. They're running a raffle. We'll know next month if I even got it. But for the most part, I'm hoping to win at least something. I only bought 2 tickets. There's 5,000 tickets to be bought, and I bought just 2 of them because it was $10 a ticket. Yeah. But yeah. But needless to say, we got ourselves a nice little arm guard for the heat because I work so close to the forge. It's not the most optimal position for the forge, but it's where I got it. We got our turning tool over there. I bought a freaking monkey wrench so we can actually turn metal easier and with less dangerously. But we'll see how that goes. Haven't used that tool a lot. I tried it a couple times. Not as good. But yeah. So like I said, like, share, subscribe. If you want to help support the shop, there's links in the description. If you do, you do. You don't, you don't. It's more than fine. I don't mind. It's not about the money. It's about the craft. Eventually I might be able to get better lighting because I'm having a devil of a time correcting the white balance and looking like a ghost on my own stream. There we go. We got a few long knives, and that's going to be a booger to finally work out. Some of them are getting where they're going to be good to go. This one's not quite there. I still need to pound out the tang a bit more. Currently working on some t-shirts and stuff. I figured maybe that would interest some people. I don't know how people feel about shirts. I thought about putting one of those slightly dirty phrases on it, like Stallman's Forge. I get it hot and pound it hard kind of deal. Figured that might be fun. Too cold. All right. No guests for the shop today. It's more than fine. Because if I can get that going, I got an artist who's worked with me a little bit on getting some designs. Probably gonna get a new tattoo as well. Still working on placement on that one. But we'll try that. I like to try a lot of different artists so that way I can rotate through logos and designs so that way people can actually enjoy different artists up there that might be their favorite or so, whoever it may be. But essentially, I just want to help out my fellow artisans in some way or another. But like I said, students, we recently had someone who's just now found the burning passion for the craft. And they hit me up quite regularly now to ask questions, to when my next workshop will be, you know. And it's been nice. It's given me time to take a step back from the actual hard labor portion, because my back was well and truly not fun. So more or less all I've been doing is trying to slowly and surely get better, and that's why there's been a long absence. So it's just been here and there, going here and there, and trying to make the best of the situation as I could. So we've just been shooting and moving as best as we can. Still got some time on that one. But that's about where we've been with my absence. Yeah, it is. Here before too long, I will be taking a vacation, an actual vacation, not just resting my back. I've been working on other projects, like I said, teaching and whatnot. So eventually I'll be going out to the mountains to just do some overnight camping and maybe like 2 or 3 days. We'll see, rough it, as they say. I kind of miss that. It's been a while since I've well and truly been out of reach. People think I was bad recently because of not being able to be getting a hold of. I used to be a lot harder to get a hold of. And for the most part, generally, if I don't want to be talked to, I generally just don't get to be talked to, you know what I mean? So for the most part, all we're doing here is working this tang, trying to get it nice and a little bit thinner. Got some more spots here. Get it ready for shaping a bit more. I might try to peen this one. I know everybody's gonna giggle at that word, but I want to get it to the point where it comes out the back of the handle, and then we'll flatten it and roll it on top of some kind of spacer of some type, and it'll secure it to the handle. It's just one of the old ways of doing it. But we'll see how it goes. It does get a little hard to do. We typically don't shy away from hard things in the shop, project-wise. Some gentle tapering here. Still needs some more work. But we'll see. If I ever win the lottery, you guys will know, because I'll just be streaming probably every other day. So be on the lookout for Stalvin Ballin. Because I would love to do this every day, whether I was streaming or not, but that still needs time. Yeah. But I've been enjoying my teaching experience so far. Like I said, got someone into the knife portion of the craft. I got another person who wants to learn how to band a chest of some kind. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, you peanut gallery. But needless to say, I'm enjoying seeing people get really interested in the craft. If I could actually make the shop bigger, I would, so I could accommodate a bigger class. Maybe like 2 or 3 people. I don't want to go like super huge yet until I get more proficient with my teaching. But for the most part, I just want to get people really into it. Like my one student who's always asking me questions on how to improve, how to do better, and I tell them just, you got to go out and do it. And just always want to get better. To never stop trying to achieve perfection in steel. Like, that's too cold, but for the most part I know it's a little bit bunched and I can work it a little bit better. I can leave it in there longer and let the metal relax. It's just stuff that you learn from doing. Like, I gotta resurface this anvil eventually, and that'll be a interesting affair. Alright, so we got that nice to a nice little point. This is going to be a little bit of a ridiculous knife because of how long the tang is. So, I mean, like, it'll be a little bit bigger than your hand. But we can put stuff on there, like we could use that for the peen, that extra tang piece, go all the way through the wood, burn it through so it's secure, and then put something there that will hold tighter to the back of your hand. I mean, these are things you just have to think of while you're doing the craft. I mean, if you're not thinking about it, trying to live it, you're just going to be a hobbyist forever, for the most part. I watch videos on this. I try to read theses on it. I study when I can and when I'm motivated enough. Metallurgy. I try to understand the sciences behind this. I well and truly love the craft, and I want to know just about everything I can about it. I would love to have the chance to work under a master, so that way I can really get a good education instead of just trying to figure it out on my own. There's nothing wrong with that, mind you. You don't have to go out and find someone who will teach you like some ancient kung fu master. It is. That's, like I said, getting hit with flux that came out of the a forge weld when I was working with Andy. Hit me right on the arm. Oh, it hurt like a motherfucker. But it's an experience that I get to keep with me forever. I got to open up this door a little bit more. Feels like it's building up a little bit of stuff to it. Nah. And I'll probably have to leave here in a minute just to get some more water. I forgot to bring out my water jug. And that's why there's so many unfinished projects. I learned something new after stopping and starting something else, trying to take a different approach. I probably will have several unfinished, like I do now, but solely for the fact is that I wasn't happy with how it turned out and start again. Like this could easily turn into frickin' Gulf City cartographer's fucking knife that I promised him way long ago. And this is why I don't take people's money up front, is because I take time. I take the extra bits that I need to ensure that I've made a good product. I want quality to be the forefront of people's minds. Speed is great, but if you don't have the quality to go behind your speed, you really don't have anything of value to add. It might take me a while to make your product. I owe like a pair of brass knuckles, but I can't do those yet. But I can eventually do that if I can get the time and capital to start investing towards it. Like, there's so many different disciplines within this field that used to be specialized, that modern man now can take time out of their life and learn these skills. It still takes years to master all of them, sure. But now we can get to a point where we're so proficient by doing all this and casting and woodworking and so on and so on. These are important things to learn. And hello and welcome anyone else who's just recently joined. Yeah, we're working on projects today. A little bit at a time. We're in no real rush. We have plenty of time to do them. We're just enjoying this best as we can. Hopefully the audio quality is good. You guys can't hear the excessive noises coming around. And hopefully you guys will also learn this by watching me do it, so that maybe you want to do it. I've had a couple on the stream before that said they got interested in it because of me. And that's a good feeling, to be honest with you. I like it. When someone tells me they've found a new passion for something, I love it. There's nothing more endearing about the human psyche than finding something that you absolutely love and doing it. We strive for perfection. We sometimes go insane trying to do so. But I love the journey that takes you there. Let's see, we got 3 people watching, so I assume that's just all 3 of us, more or less. Oh yeah, that's me. I'm also watching, so there's just 2 of you. Cool. Forgot to turn off the preview for myself because I was like making sure everything was good. But yeah, we're just shooting and moving and shooting. I mean, you learn so much about yourself when you do something like this, like what your tolerance is, what you like, what you don't like, how artistic you're inclined to be. It's all a matter of perspective on yourself, too. Doing the hard work teaches you a lot about you and where you come from in your own walk of life and where you might be going. I don't like to get too hoity-toity with the psychology of it, obviously, but it's not untrue. This craft teaches you patience, observation, problem solving, proportions, balance. There's a lot of critical skills in it that you can learn by simply just picking up a hammer and heating the metal and beating it. But yeah, that was me that was watching. So I was like, who's the third person? But yeah, feel free to share and push us out. It's a little later than my normal stream, but I had to go get a haircut. As you can tell, have my ears lowered. I had to hurry up and put in some like balm to quickly try to get it nice and slicked back a little bit. But that's the nature of the beast, to be honest with you. Alright, let's bring this over here. But yeah, like I said, there's a lot of stuff I'd love to do right now, but I just can't afford the tools that I require for it. It's just one of them things. Gotta make money, spend money to make money, as they say. That's why I got my subscribe star and stuff. It's not, like I don't want people to watch this show to think they have to chip in. I do talk about it a lot because apparently sometimes you have to be repetitious about it to make sure that people know that you are willing to accept help and there is ways to help. Like if I could get a grant to start getting this geared up to teach the class, I would love to. But that's going to be harder right now, especially with economic uncertainties. Like, should our economy crash, it would be a craftsman's and a farmer's market. Your paper money won't be as good. People are going to want to trade for stuff. Craftsmen will be back in a really high demand given the climate. And bam. Like this tang is a little kinking that way, which if I were to quench it right now, there's a good chance it would continue that bend. But I still got work I have to do on it. Like I gotta fix the tip a little bit. I don't need to thin it out too much more, just solely given the fact of where it's at currently. But it is a pretty long knife. But I kind of like that. Tip's pretty well pointed. We'll correct the tang a bit more and then we'll move on to that. I might just use a bending tool. But yeah, is what it is. I would love for eventually just to host classes like on stream, like someone wants to come down. That's one of the subscribe star actual rewards for subscribing or subbing so long or so much, is so that way people can feel like they're getting a return on their investment. Like whenever you watch, you're technically investing your time into this, which I always feel like I should reward. And it is what it is. Thank you, Quinn. It was going to be a bit higher and tighter than it was, but I said, fuck it. I can't keep it to a mohawk because of where I work during the day. And I've been slowly trying to get to the point where I start working out. I got a goal and a plan, a meal plan I got to start getting ready for and buy. I'm going to get pretty well jacked again. I miss having a pretty swole fucking bod. The kind that makes people go, God damn, I want to be like that guy. I kind of miss that kind of stuff. But enough of me. Well, if life gives me lemons, I'm going to squeeze lemons in life's eye. You make lemonade, and then you sell it for 3 times what it's worth. And you break everyone else's legs at selling lemonade, so you won't have any competition. So you will be the only competitor. You will be the market. There we go. bend. All right, they're right there in the shoulder. Cool, cool, cool. Life is a weird, cruel game show. Life is about winners and losers, unfortunately, but that's nature. The creatures that get fed and the creatures that get fed upon. That's just how it goes, unfortunately. All right, so these are about ready for a burn through. I don't have any wood set up for it yet, but that's all right, because we can work on that another time. You're still hot. Yes, you are. All right. Had some other projects I wanted to work on. And yeah, that's from his weird cut. Work on the tank some more. All right. So, got a couple of the projects ready to start their burn-throughs. I'm working on one of my putt-around ones. Where's the other one? All right. So, this is one of the last ones I worked on before I had to go on mini vacation for me. Some of you might recognize it really well, some of you might not. This is just a Brokeback Sax design. I did have to grind a bit on it to get it to have that profile, but it's still pretty thick on the blade, which is about where I need it to be. I gotta get it a bit more straight, and I don't need to work on the tip much more because it's already at a point, which is a no-no, because that's just gonna fuck up the tip, which could cause severe breakdowns later. But that's okay, because we can, once we get it and it's already fucked up, we can grind it out, make a new tip, so on and so on. I don't mind if my blade has a little lip up, because that's just another cutting surface, which can do better. We're not going to work on this one right now, though. That is a whole different project for me to experiment with. I like where it's going. It's not bad, but it's not amazing either. So, let's get back to it. So you'll find landing grooves forming whenever you start hammering your tang. Yeah, it's too cold. Nope, I was holding it too high. You'll notice hand position's important. You don't want to have it too up or low. One of my students was having a problem of having it up high. It's just where his arm was. But we can get that corrected easy. It's not that big of a detriment that you can easily just fix. And it's also because this anvil stand that I'm using, it's a stump. It's not cut straight, so it's kind of a little bit wibble wobble. So the anvil sits at a slight cant of its own. It's just one of those things, like I could either go and buy a new one, which is pricey, but it'll be level and stable and with a warranty. Or I can go and try to find another log, cut it, unattach all the chains, and move it on to the next piece. It just all comes down to what I'm willing to do, which really depends on my mood at the time. Just checking chat, sorry. The Lemon Baron, yes. The one reason I hate wearing safety glasses is they pinch the side of my head, which irritates me, and I'm like, nah, fuck that. That's why I typically don't like wearing them. That, and whenever they get damaged to the point where they're still usable, but not quite good anymore, they annoy the shit out of my face. Fucks my eyes, makes it harder to see. Now there's still heat in there when I pull it away, but there's not enough heat to continue doing for long, and I don't want to get carried away and just keep going. So we're going to go ahead and get our flatting tool for now, which is just a ball peen hammer. That helps me keep a nice flat surface for the most part. Like, some of my hammers still need to be refaced, like they need to be flattened again. But ball peen works really well. And whenever we're doing the peening, we'll use the peen portion here, the ball peen, to round it and rivet it more or less. But we'll see how it goes. Still not quite there. Since it is a shorter blade and I have a bit more tang than I require, it's going to take me a second to get the amount of workspace I need to be ready. I'm going to take off my glasses again. That one's pretty free of scaling, so that's not bad. But you just got to know what tools you need for the time and job that you're doing. Do I have a drink in here? Not much. I wish I had some form of like apprentice's apprentice. Bring me water or beer. I could go for a beer right now. It'd be nice. All right. So with this, it's just going to be hit, 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 flip it. All we're doing is trying to flatten the valleys and grooves to be mesh. We're not trying to shape steel with it. We're just trying to make it even. A little too cold. That's where you'll notice it gets... Oh, fuck you too, hammer. You'll notice where it bounces really hard. That's just where it's too cold and the metal's reverberating the hammer back up. We want all that force to stay in the metal when we hammer down. Just watching it go. I could put it under the fire and heat it up faster. Yeah, I mean, finding workarounds for different things you need, like if you wear glasses, I mean, I wouldn't recommend really wearing contacts in the shop. There's just too much shit that can get in your eyes and fuck them up. But I need bigger ones because they pinch the side of my face too much. I don't like that because it just distracts from my thought processes and my focus. And it's just one of those irritants that I don't like. Lay that across the fire. It'll heat it up. It's a little bit overly quick. I'd rather it just kind of soak in the heat as much as it can without it being forced right on it. It's getting there. Of course, I love the new forge. It's working really well. It was a little bit of a booger to put together. I need to figure out a better way of controlling the airflow than what they got because I had to put my hands on hot metal. And I have burnt my finger and thumb trying to tighten a nut on there. Ooh, it was... I didn't expect it to be as hot as it was, but sure as shit was. You wouldn't think it, but it was very hot. It was like about as hot as a piece of metal that falls on the floor from the forge, because the radiant heat is soaking it because it's the burner cover. Too cold. That's okay. I kind of wish I had a few different burner ones, like a single burner, a triple burner for different project sizes, because I mean, for a knife that small, this is really big. It uses way more space than I need. But for the bigger projects, it's definitely a must. I could probably start working a sword in there, probably. Because the third burner is just probably going to be like about dead middle where the two burners are now on the forge. But yeah. Let's see where we're at. Oh, not bad for half an hour. A little bit of almost 40 minutes. Like I said, I got that thing refilled. It was great. So we're going good there. It's raining outside right now. It's a little bit of an annoyance, but we'll see, as long as it's not going to blow up my fire with its rain and wind. We're about there on one side. I could just hit it with the frickin' grinder, but relying on the grinder is just going to make you a machinist. I'd rather find out how to do it and make it mine a little easier than that. Small adjustments. So we're going to go back to shaping. I'll be right back. I'm going to grab some water. So you'll probably lose my voice and stuff. So I'll be back. Oh, man. All right, I'm back. My small hydro flask. It's always important to hydrate and keep water nearby. Fire extinguisher as well, just in case. This has soaked up a lot of heat simply just by being left in there too long. It's not like it's cooked out anything or nothing, but we'll see how it goes. Nope. So I started cranking out a knife while my student was doing one because he was getting a little flustered. So I showed him how to do it. I see people came and it was like, meh. But yeah. Let me turn this on to the stream health. All right, health is good. All right. We still good? Everybody hear me? Pardon me. But yeah. I've gotten people offline asking me to make stuff out of, alright, sounds good. To make stuff out of drill bits. I mean, it's not an unknown concept. It makes interesting little pattern welds, depending on what brand and what the materials they usually use are. So, you can find a lot of interesting things by doing that. A little too cold again. Well, as the metal gets thinner, I mean, most of you already know, when the metal gets thinner, it gets easier to lose the heat. The anvil's finally warming up, which is good. Now that we're starting getting our way into spring, we shouldn't lose a lot of heat to a cold anvil as much, depending on it. Tennessee's been very awkward recently about its temperatures because, well, it's Tennessee. It changes its mind quite a bit. But I've been having a real bad hankering to build a sword. I just know I'm not there yet. That's a project that I would end up not doing for months upon months. I'd probably get demotivated a lot. Because it's a lot of work for one man. Constructing a sword from start to finish is just... It really is a team effort. Unless I had like a lot of modernized equipment, stuff that I can't afford, nor could I feasibly power right now. Matter of time and whatnot until I can get there. I've been talking to a workshop place that's supposed to help me get a better workshop. It'll probably be facing that way from the brick wall behind me, probably about 35 feet that way. And it would give me plenty of room. I just have to lay some tile and set up work tables, and it becomes a whole fucking rigmarole. But it's something I need to do. I got to get it done. It's just saving up the capital. That's about it. Oh yeah, you're North Carolina. Yeah, Tennessee's been super fun recently with how cold it gets. I can't plant nothing. I wanted to plant a little bit of some crops, some peppers, and whatnot, but it's just been too cold. I've been too busy with my day job to go out hunt and do some proper work. I got some trees I still got to cut up, make some firewood. But it is what it is. Neck. I was reading about possible health risks from doing this, and the only thing that would be really annoying is getting what they call a blacksmith spine, where my head wants to stay forward and my shoulders one side of your body gets really pulled by muscle one way, sort of like a Bowman's musculature problem. Because you're hammering with one arm and you're doing nothing else with the other, so it kind of pulls itself forward and your back kind of hunches a bit. But I've been really enjoying my chiropractor. They were cheap. They're always willing to answer questions and tell me different ways of exercise that'll help my back, so I don't have to see them as often. They still want me to come in, but when I get to the back end of what I'm doing with it, I'll be only going there once a month, just to kind of make sure everything's still in line, checkups, whatnot, sort of like a doctor's office. I'll be paying like $29 a visit. Slightly expensive in my mind, but I'm also paying like $68 right now per month for multiple visits in the month. I get free days too, depending on how it goes. It's not bad. Yeah. It's weird. It's funny and sad at the same time that there's ailments depending on what you do. Like a welder's hunch, where they're just kind of over it and going, or a chemist's hump. Kind of makes you wonder how people looked when they did that stuff back in the old days. Like how funny. We romanticize how these jobs were and how everything looked, but we have no idea the deformities due to the just years of working in the same way, in the same conditions all the time. It just makes me laugh. Another reason I want a bigger shop is because it'll be able to keep moisture out a lot easier than this little shed. Like this anvil was not as rusted as when I first bought it. And I would love to get it cleaned up and made it look real nice. It kind of hurts to look at because I'm like, oh God, you're so ugly. But I love it. Like a lot of my tools have fucking moisture damage. I would take them all in, but I'd have to always bring them each piece out again and again and again. And I'd rather just have somewhere where they're locked up and I don't have to worry about them as much. It's kind of why I'm glad whenever my nephew gets his clean bill of health here in a few years, he'll be my official first apprentice. And he's going to work by oiling the tools, cleaning the floor, cleaning off my workspace, bring me water or beer, you know, typical menial labor that I don't want to do. But he'll slowly begin to develop skills like recognizing which tools are what, and when I holler for it or if I need something, he'll kind of just know. Then he'll just simply run, grab what he thinks I need, hand it to me, and I'll be like, all right, cool. All right, take this, go clean it. Kind of deal. It's one of those, he'll learn from seeing me do things, and he'll learn from just getting really familiar with the tools. I think they should bring back the apprentice system simply because it did a lot of good. And it'll come to a point when eventually we'll just charge someone to be my apprentice should I reach mastery. It's not so much a should, it's a when I reach mastery. I always got to remember to remind myself that it's not a if, it's a when. Because I'm not going to stop. Even if I lost my arms, I'd find some way. I'd fucking find something. Attach a hammer and tong to a stump, get robotic prosthesis, and figure out a way to make it work real good. So we are getting pretty long in the grip. We may have to cut off that back piece, which is going to be annoying. I'd rather do that with two people here. But we're going to keep working the tang until we get it a nice little point, and then we can cut it off later. And then we'll flip it around and work on the blade some more, because it needs some love. Basically Quinn. Basically a forge bitch. But it's more of a... I think most people forget that the earliest form of learning was to simply do and watch. I'm not going to put a 7-year-old right here in front of the anvil and make them do them. He's going to be busy doing other shit. He's going to get to know the tools, so that way he can figure out which tools he needs for what project he's making. He'll learn by watching me watch this turn orange and go, yep, that's the temperature I need for this. Tell the boy to go get me some steel. He'll know what steels are, which ones are what they do. Have him prep my quench tank so that way he knows what oils to put in. He'll hear the hammering. He'll understand what it sounds like when it's way too cold, when it's way too hot. He'll see. It's one of those things he won't have to worry about fucking up and freaking out and panicking right then, because he'll see it all there and there. And basically that's his job until he gets old enough, and eventually I fully expect to catch him trying to use the tools, to fully try to use the forge, and that's when the real trial begins. Eventually he'll be assisting me by holding the tongs, and I'll teach him how to move it across the anvil so that way he knows how that works. Eventually I'll hold the tongs and make him hammer, so he learns hammer strokes and how to do hammer control. I mean, it's all a compartmentalized system that allows him to learn by watching and eventually doing. Because at first it's just going to be a job for him. It's not going to be much more than just watching me do it and being bored. But he better not say he's bored, because I will find him shit to do. The worst thing he can say is, Uncle Russ, I'm bored. I'm going to be like, alright, go start making me charcoal. I don't know how. Well, you better figure it out. Don't burn down my yard. Let's see what we're doing. Connections, excellent. Yep, string health is good. We're sitting at about an hour. Not bad, not bad. Feeling pretty good. My back's right. Like, I probably should do some stretches later to help it out. But other than that, it feels really good. And I'll show you here in a minute once we get this about where we need it. Do a little bit of more work on this back piece. It's a little too thick back here. And if I can get an interest in it, I've considered just doing a Stalvin Forge ASMR, where it's just me hammering, not really talking much, maybe mumbling here and there. And it's probably not going to be what I would consider someone's ideal sleeping sounds. Mostly because I tend to fucking swear or fucking do my own version of karaoke. But I imagine if I got a coke forge and I had to use the bellows, it would be a little bit more rhythmic than just the roar of this fire. So, it is what it is. I didn't really get a chance to spam my link out everywhere, so yeah. Oh, no, this is already age restricted, so I can curse just about as much as I want as long as it's not extremist. Yeah, a back brace probably would be good, but as long as I keep good posture while I'm standing or moving, it doesn't hurt as bad. Like right now I'm keeping my head and spine in basically a straight line while just slightly braced on my knees. So it feels really good right here. So we're just waiting on the thicker part of the metal to heat up. So I get to experiment later. I got to do some research on how to do banding properly. I looked at one example of it, and I have a good understanding so far about how it should go. Now, getting all the corners and stuff to be there, that's a different story. But for the most part, it's just a matter of doing it. Like, I have a good idea. I wish we had some wrought iron or if someone had some wrought iron I could really use. Someone's messaging me. I got time while that heats up. Just letting people know that I'm alive. Again, I didn't do it on Twitter, so that's probably where I get most of my traffic. Yeah, the thicker part. I mean, I don't want to use words like biggening part, the biggened part. I'm not Markiplier. I can't use nonsensical words and pretend they're real. I don't have that kind of stage presence. All right, so we're just gonna start working this. Whoop. It twisted in the tongs. It's one of those things you just have to adapt. You have to adapt yourself to. Like, I'm thinking about making it like that. I'll bring it a little closer. Making a knife like that. I was starting this, trying to make another Brokeback, or at least another Formisax, but I think I might do this. So, we'll see how that goes. I'll just have to see about where the steel wants to be. I like to let it kind of flow and find its own little placements, and then adjust it from there. But like I said, feel free to blast the link out on Twitter or Discord or wherever you fucking do it. But yeah, I mean, it's coming along. It's nice being called on. I get phone calls now all the time because I put out my business number and email and stuff going, hey, I'm open. And people have been like, hey, do this. And I'm like, that's pricey. And I'm a little full on projects. But that also creates a demand, and people who have been telling me, I'll wait. So just hammering around helps get some of this stuff ready. I left a little bit of heat in there, so it should be pretty much easier to keep it in there. I'm starting to wish I had a bar that hung out here so I could just lay it out there. But it is what it is. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I used to try to do a lot of different stuff while I was in the shop, but I'd end up getting absorbed into one particular spot and end up fucking ignoring another one. There's a lot of different projects I want to do, like I want to do some forge welds and such. I really need to get a coke forge for that, or a coal forge, because it is a super destructive process. The flux in there turns into molten glass and it eats away at everything. I'd have to reline this a lot if I did a lot of forge welds. And it gets pricey to get the right type of insulator. And I would have to reline it with the refractory cement that comes with it. It's just a pain in the ass. Alright. I think if I'm going to do a sword, I'm going to do spring steel. Call it good. But yeah. What time is it even? It is 1:02. Cool. I need to start thinking about what I'm going to do for lunch. This is the last couple of days, or this week and next week are the last weeks I get to eat shitty. Because, like I said, I'm getting on that new diet, going to a gym, gonna be pretty, I'm going to have to probably get new pants and fucking shirts because I plan to get fucking swole. You know, I figure it'll help me with my own fucking, just feel good, energized from working out instead of just sedentary job and working out here in the shop. And I can maintain an overall fitness by doing that. That hump is stubborn. That's all right. We can keep working on it. There's no rush, no immediate need. Geez, there was a bunch of people for a second. 4 people, damn. See, that's the idea is I'm going to do a lot of meal prep, like frozen meals saved up, prep them, freeze them, put a couple of quick ones in there. The diet I'm going to do is like 5 to 6 times eating a day. Breakfast being a pretty decent one, and then everything between that and dinner is going to be light, like snacks, healthy snacks, like Greek yogurt and whatnot. Then come home, get ready to go to the gym, pre-workout, then post-workout, and then a good dinner. And it'll save me some money to a degree because I'll be trying to eat a bit healthier. There we go. We about got it out. There's a little divot left, but we can pound that out in a different way. Not bad, not bad, not bad. But yeah, it's all about keeping it going. Plan to work hard, play hard, eat hard. Well, you get the idea, the premise of just doing more. I know I'm not like a super scrawny dude, not really fat, not really toned, but I plan to get there. I want to basically reach my peak weight for my height, which is 190, maybe a little bit over depending. I mean, I'm not in the Army no more, so I don't have to worry about weight and tape. So if I get a little heavier than 190, I'm not terribly worried about it. And I found a good program that'll help. It's a little nerdy, but such is life. Yeah, she's taking a good profile. So we've moved that dip out as it was before, a bit more of a hump. Now we got a good profile going. Some of it will have to be hit with a grinder to get the rest of it out, but so far so good. The next portions will have to be beveled, which will provide the cutting surface, so that will make that wedge, which will slice and chop. It won't be so much a thrusting knife because it's not lent towards it. The straight back here in the spine, straight to the tip, isn't going to be meant for going through it that way, but it would be good for this or chop, a cut, and so on and so on. We just work on it and work on it, and if it fucks up, it fucks up. We move on to the next piece of metal. Welcome, whoever just joined. I see that we have 3 people now, so that's good. Well, it's not so much I'm trying to lose weight, it's so much just put it where it belongs. I miss having like really toned lower body. I used to have really, really defined legs, sculpted butt kind of thing. Stuff that Eddie would drool over. Too cold. But I'm trying to get it to the point where I look healthy, feel healthy, and maintain that positive energy. It's just about goals and achieving them. Well, we lost somebody. They showed up and left, so, eh. Oh, man. Still heating up. Water break. Yeah, we've been going strong for an hour and 10-ish minutes. I don't honestly know who's all here. It's all good, though. I didn't check to see who was streaming today, or what time they were streaming. So I'm sure there's a lot of the used-to-be regulars elsewhere. I know that YouTube doesn't give a shit about us small creators as much as it used to. Which, most people would be like, when did they ever? But, you know. Bam! That's what I'm talking about. Perseverance. We got that little bitty dip out by hammering it just enough in. We got a nice little knife brewing here. Do I want to bevel it now? I should. Do I hammer the bevels in or grind them in? Ah, yes. The age-old question. Gotta find a good spot for it, probably right here. I really need to re-weld the face on because it is about done. Need to round the edges off on some spots, keep one at 90 degree. Like, I've been looking up at repairs for this, and it's a pain in the dick, but it could be done. Oh, I'm sure he's exercising his hands vigorously. Either raising a drink to his lips or massaging localized tension. But yes, I'm actually hoping that eventually I'll open up my own school and teach anyone that wants to learn. This is where it's going to get a bit of a hard time to bevel, because it's not all that ready to bevel yet. That was just me kind of testing the waters. But I might have to grind it in, given the shape of it. But I need a better grinder. It's one of those, every step I take forward, I kind of have to take another one back. But for the most part, we have a decent knife being made. I'll leave that right there on the anvil. We've been going for about an hour and 13. See what other knives need to be worked on a bit. I'm going to help my buddy out just a little bit, my student. I'm not going to fuck up his work, but I'm definitely going to give him a little bit of a hand with some of his work here. Not much, just a little bit. I'm going to help him with this tip. Because tips are tricky. They really are. You don't want them too thin. You can't have them too fat. But all I'm doing here is just going to give him a little nudge in the right direction. I'm going to let him finish the rest. He might even be watching. So, next time we might stream the class, we might not. I'm sure some people would love to see it. Still too cold. That's all right. So while we're doing that, well, there's 4 people here. Welcome to another episode of Stallman's Forge. We've been going for about an hour and so. Hour 15-ish. We may run a little bit longer. Like I said, I'm going to try to help out my student just a hair. Not a whole lot. Just kind of nudge his knife in a good direction. Because he's got a good start. He just needs a bit more work on it. He's got to learn the difference between Barbie hands and Hulk hands, as I call it now. I didn't do too much shaping there, just a couple of nudges to straighten it out just a touch. Alright, so we can go back to Tang. Let that rock. Like I said, welcome. So beveling is how you make the cutting surface. Let me see if I can find a knife I've already worked on that has a bevel. There we go. One of my finished ones. It's not that great, but it'll do. Alright, so this knife, mind you, pretty bad. See, this smooth part right here versus the patina is what's known as its bevel. Now this bevel is what provides that cut surface. So whenever it cuts into something, be it meat or cutting wood or whittling, it creates a plane that shears away material. And it's what causes it to cut really well. Take, for example, katanas. They are beveled as a way to be like a razor, to cut through soft targets usually. Whereas you look at different types of geometry of a blade is how it's generally meant to be used. Take like a English longsword. With the right geometry, it could be beneficial to thrust with it, to cut with it, to chop, to slice. Like katanas are, in my opinion, more of a cut and slice weapon, whereas a rapier is a pointing weapon or a thrusting weapon. The geometry of its beveling really lends to its structural strength as well as its purpose. If you have a rondelle, for example, it'll have bevels in a degree that allows it to penetrate better. So with that in mind, you kind of want to have an idea of what you're making and how the bevels are going to be. That'll affect its performance as well as its overall general health in the terms of its structural stability, because if you're using something that's not designed and beveled for chopping, you're going to end up having to put more force behind it to get the cuts you want, or it won't cut very well at all. With that in mind, you can watch many examples that other smiths show. Take, say, my cut tool. Well, that's still heating up. So my cut tool, as you see this wedge it forms, this is the beveling on it. There's a smaller bevel right here on the tip that's meant to force metal to slowly come up this wedge. Whereas this masonry chisel, we've actually altered, when we were using it as a makeshift cutting tool, we've altered its bevel. So its original bevel was meant for rock, so it was a bit more beefy, coming to a bit more of a rounded surface. So that way it could crack in and keep going and try to make that straight line cut. If you look at drills, the bits, they have slight beveling as well to allow it to burrow further as well as to push out excess material. So depending on what this knife is going to be for, which I think it will be mostly for slicing material as well as cutting in the terms of how I'm going to use it, it will take on a different type of bevel. You'll see a lot of knives, mostly machine shop ones you find in gas stations, have like a small itty bitty cutting surface and then a bevel. It works because you're causing that initial beveling to cut in and then it's forced off the wedge, sort of like a chisel. So when you sharpen knives, there will be usually a uniform bevel from point to end. So instead of it just being this and then up to this, usually they'll come just straight into its cut. So that way, as soon as it's on whatever it's cutting, it immediately already has it wedged. Yeah, I like to think it's pretty cool. Geometry in blades and other forms is really important. That's why this specific trade has a lot of sciences behind it in math. It's sometimes intimidating to think about how much I need to study to get to where I should be to explain more properly. Like, half my explanations I will tell you, just go check out other Smiths, read books, research, look at it on your own, and if you find something that I've messed up or said wrong, by all means come and tell me so I can learn and be better at it. We're back down to 2. That was nice. We had a small little spurt of people. I was hoping I was going to teach a lesson to more people, but that's alright. Like I said, it's not about views or subs or money. I love what I do and I want to share it. With the proper tools and equipment, you can make a knife fast, slow, big, small. It's all about what you want to make. I like seeing people grow and learn and find their truest passions, whether it be in smithing, painting, sculpting, welding, underwater basket weaving, for fuck's sake. I mean, whatever you're passionate about, I want people to go and grab it and take it. That's what I would like. So any other questions you have on your mind? I'm more than happy to answer. I've got other people who've been meh. Taking a quick smoke break. Might have to run inside and get some more vape juice. This coal is pretty well spent, but I might go back out into town after this is over and get some mead to celebrate. It is what it is, honestly. I love this craft. I love everything about it. The fun, the drudgery, the repetitiveness to it. I could easily do this for the rest of my life and be content. My goal is to eventually be the foremost expert in my field. Minus historians, who actually have the field known. I really need to go back and view more classical examples. Go to a museum, talk to the curator, maybe put some hands on, and get a real feel again for some of the historical pieces they have in their shops, or not their shops, their museums. I really regret not being able to. I mean, this is an expensive trade to get into, but once you start getting the basic equipment, hammer, tongs, anvil, forge, and finding a good feel for it, there's really very little you have to really worry about. I mean, a good grinder is necessary, but you can substitute a grinder out with files, and you get really good about hand filing. I mean, it gets to a point where you're proficient. Like, I enjoy hand filing. It's just really messy. So much shavings that are magnetized because you're just constantly removing it, and it just piles up, gets in the air. It's not good for you to breathe in, of course, but it is what it is. Oh, absolutely. I love history. I'm more of a martial historian, but I'm also getting to the point where I'm into the history of this. Like, my first wonder is, what was the first hammer for the first metal tool? How did they think to cast it? What did they cast it with? How did they figure out the proportions? What was that hammer like? And I mean, it's just one of those things. Like, it's one of those mysteries I won't know because we've never found the first hammer, which would be cool as shit. And God, if I had the money, I would own it. The first blacksmith's hammer. I need to sweep in the shop again. It's getting cluttered on the floor. Dirt and debris and metal shavings. Looks like we've been running for an hour, almost an hour and a half. Not bad. Longer than my usual ones. I'm going to try to start getting into more videos. Like maybe class days I won't stream it. I'll just run it through here so everyone's not distracted with me trying to answer questions and answer their questions and so on and so on. And that'll give me time, you know what I mean? Like, I have no idea how long it'll take for me to do the class versus how long the battery on my lapel mic to last. So I think for now, we leave it here for here. Alright, everything's off. You always gotta make sure everything's off and nice and tight. Alright. Take off some of my equipment. But yeah, I think that'll do it for now, anyway. It's always good to have some work done. We got a bit done on a lot of the different projects we've had. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I mean, you find material that works and lends it to what you need. I mean, iron used to be the only product, but here's my question. Because they don't have propane forges to put the iron into, so they had to use some kind of charcoal, most likely. Charcoal is going to activate while you're burning it and putting carbon into the iron, therefore making steel. It's not really good steel, but it's steel. So my question is, did we have a quote-unquote iron age? Or did we simply skip that and go straight into steel? Now, not quality steel, mind you. Not intentional steel, but steel. Some low-grade carbon steel. Something similar to like 1018, which is 0.18 carbon content. Not something I use, ever. But something that we can all really appreciate. All right, so this is about where we got it. It's turning out pretty good. Not bad, not bad. Whoop, trying to move on me. Got to be careful. But, as I said, all things in time. Let the metal relax by cooling. We've done a lot of good work here. It's not bad. Leave these on here for next time, or when I come back in the shop later. Most likely tomorrow or even workday, depending. But I hope y'all enjoyed this stream, so please feel free to check out, like, share, subscribe. hit the bell notification so you can get, updates. I don't know how well that works. Those of you who've been here, I know it doesn't really matter, but links are in the description for different things, different people and such. But yeah, follow me on Twitter. You can get a hold of me at my business email down below. So if you want a project, we'll discuss it and talk about price. All right. With that said, I'll see you guys later.